Order.
31. How's everybody?
Good, thanks.
The first thing on our agenda is to reorganize the committee. We probably should have done this last week, but we didn't get it on the agenda, so we'll do it this week. So I'm happy to stay on as chair. If someone else is interested in serving as chair, we can have that chat as well. And I think Cheryl's the clerk.
Yeah.
Right? And most of us chair, right? Okay. So do you want to stay in that role?
If somebody'd like to take it, that's fine.
You want to stay
Watch
in the
this.
role?
Yeah, sit on my hands.
Okay, so anybody interested in any of these roles, I guess is probably a better thing to ask. Are we good?
No, you're good.
Okay. Do you want, somebody want to make a motion on the organization?
Sure, I'll make a motion that Jan be chair, Mo be vice, and Cheryl be clerk.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
How
Excellent.
about capital budget committee?
That's next on the agenda, as
Oh,
a
it's
matter
really
of
there?
fact.
Is it?
Yes.
You didn't do
Just
your
came into
homework.
my
I know,
head.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
I think we get 3 people on the capital budget committee
Yeah.
from the finance committee. I
I'm not
believe,
going on.
no?
No.
I believe last year it may have been Scott,
Scott and I.
Jeff.
I thought there was just 2
and-
last year.
Was it just 2?
Was it you too, Jan?
I
No,
guess
it was me.
not. Oh, it was you.
Oh, okay.
Can you have
I thought
3?
there was 3.
I've been on it for like 5 years, 10 years.
Okay. So anybody interested in serving on the capital budget committee this year?
I would like to do it again.
Okay,
I would also.
okay,
I'll stay on it if anyone else doesn't want to.
okay.
If somebody wants to do James, yeah, this is my 3rd year. So yeah, no, that's fine. I enjoy that.
Do I have a motion for Jeff, Jim,
I'd
and
make-
Scott?
Oh, I'd make a motion to have Jeff, Jim, and Scott serve on the capital budget.
And I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that was easy.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving on that. It's a good committee, it's important. Okay, approve the meeting minutes of November 29th. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them?
Moved.
Any-
Second?
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Divorced. Relive that again.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for that. And you're here from the Council on Aging. Come on up.
No, I'm good.
No, just making sure.
No, I'm good.
Holy Ghost.
Do you want a quick recap before Marilyn gets going? Sure.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Which means what?
So I'm staying on as chair, Mo's the vice chair, and Cheryl's going to stay on as clerk.
Excellent.
Jeff, Scott, and Jim are going to serve on the capital budget.
Jeff, Scott, and Jim.
Yes. And we approved our meeting minutes.
Excellent.
I think you're all caught up.
Thank you.
Marilyn, would you like to go through the Council on Aging budget for us?
Well, I would first like to say that when doing my 2022 annual report, I did some comparisons between 2022 and 2021 with regard to participants served. And we had 33,621 people come through our doors or call us in 2022.
Say that number again.
33,621.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And that's about 12,400 less than last year.
That's
2021.
less than 2021?
No, more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
12,400 more
Yeah.
than the previous year.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is amazing. Close to 6,000 of those people came in for outreach services and Shine. And the reason I bring this up first is Wendy has retired, resigned, and she's accepted a job in Mansfield as assistant director. We're very happy for her.
Yeah.
We did not hire right away because we're right in the middle open enrollment. It wouldn't be fair to the clients, it wouldn't be fair to the candidates, because it's so busy. And seeing the numbers and how they're climbing, Wendy worked, give me a second, 30 hours a week. She stayed longer beyond her time, as far as going home, getting her work done, even in 2021. So it's obvious to me that I think I need a full-time person, a 35-hour-a-week person. And same with the outreach assistant. Would be taking on more responsibility with Meals on Wheels, coordination, and that type of thing, going from 24 hours a week to 30. That's why you see such a large percentage. It's not the 2%, it's everything to do with hours. So, just to explain that, just to have somebody in the outreach department there all the time.
So that, are we doing numbers yet? I'm sorry.
We could do numbers.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
The second, I'm looking at the second line item, right, the 7.8% increase?
Yes,
That is
that is
the full-time?
increase. Yeah, the increase of
Okay.
the hours for those two positions.
David, question, I guess, as not being a full-time, like Wendy in her, or Wendy's role, I should say, at 30 hours a week, did that go into benefits, pension, everything else?
Yes.
At 30?
Anything over 20.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So
And-
there's no
So there's no
on
change.
any
That's where I was
benefits,
trying,
yeah.
that's really
That's
where I was
correct.
driving.
No impact on that.
Okay,
Yeah. Same thing with the assistant.
okay. Let him know.
And we had two people that were receiving longevity that are no longer with us, so that's why that's down 42%. So getting to the world around us and everything going sky high, our heating bill for November, we paid in December, was a little over $1,000. And with what we're going to be experiencing, I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
But I would rather be safe than sorry, and to have
Yeah.
enough money in there to cover
It's
that.
gone up a
The
lot.
costs going up
Yeah.
so significantly. And the same with electricity. As of the December report, which is only paying through November bill, we were, I think, 61%.
Higher?
Yeah. So that's why I did a
That's about right,
6.25.
though. I think my gas bill's up 40 and my electric's 50, or the other way around.
It's really
They're up a lot. Yeah.
And nothing, you haven't really, it's still all the same services. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
hours.
We're running around crazy, turning lights out as soon as the program is over, turning lights
Yeah.
out, or can you see, because we only put half the lights on. We
it's
just are trying very hard to
crazy.
conserve as best we can and keep it down to 71 or 72 degrees.
Mm.
Seniors love it at 75, but
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
That's
ask
hot.
them- I have little lap robes I can bring them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the last thing you need is people to start to get sick.
That's right, absolutely. Well, and
I
we're a
mean-
shelter from the cold as well, so that's kind of a sad thing to say, come to our shelter, but it's going to be 65 in there.
Yeah.
So we'll keep them warm.
So it looks like you need some repairs too.
Well, the repairs and maintenance, we had an odd summer and beginning of the winter with mice liking to nest in the summertime in our air conditioning condensers, and then in the wintertime upstairs in where the units are for our heating.
Oh,
And they were eating through
They eat the
wires, and so we've had a lot of repair work there. We've also had a couple of calls for one of our freezers. We have two large industrial size, commercial size freezers, and we've had some work done on those. Those are fairly old as well.
Mhm.
So that's something that down the road we might need to consider
Replacing.
talking about another time. So that's why that's up, and I think it's just the age of everything. None of that's been replaced. I think the building is a little over 20 years old as far as
Mhm.
being used, so.
I think of it as the new building.
I do too. I do as well.
Oh, God.
Well, I've been there close to 13 years of that 20, so it was brand new when I came in. In the same situation with postage, I took the newsletter to the post office last Friday, and they called me, said they couldn't send it because that was $10 shy of what the cost would be because postage
Postage
has gone up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took the $10 and it got in the mail, but that's going to continue twice a year or 3 times a year, I think, in the next, like it did last year.
Mhm.
And the increase, primarily the bulk mail for that. And the increase in cost of paper, toner, and all the other office supply items. We send out 1,600 newsletter a month. That's a lot of paper.
Mhm.
We are on a campaign to ask people to please sign up electronically so we can send it to them that way. Right now, I think we're just over 100 have done so. So that's brought our cost down somewhat.
Mhm.
And we've got it in the newsletter to please be the first to receive your newsletter and get the first sign on for some of the programs, because they always say, I just got my newsletter and you're full already. Well, they get the newsletter first if they're all electronically.
Came out quick, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that might help there as well.
Mhm.
And we're getting, our new van is due to come in, hopefully, maybe October.
That's awesome.
We voted on that last year, and very
That's a lot
excited.
of lead time, huh?
It's, well, they called, they had hoped they'd have it, I think sometime last fall, and of course, that wasn't going to happen. And then by the time it got to late fall, early winter, you couldn't get the parts for 2022 anymore.
Yeah.
So now we have to go to 2023, and now we wait a little longer. And the other van, excuse me, the other van is a grant from Brockton Transit, and they're having the same issues. But once we have those 2 8-passenger vans in service, our hopes are to do day trips again. Our hopes are that we will be able to run 2 vans at the same time. That's why we have them. We have 2 drivers. And to do more with the seniors. We haven't been able to do that because of COVID.
Yeah.
And, you know, and in tight quarters, but we'd like to do that. I'm presuming that would mean my gas is going to go up. We brought that down at COVID because we weren't running the vans, so we
Yeah.
brought that number down.
Yeah.
And that's about what the story is.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of that tonight.
Yeah. You guys are busy there.
On your electric, for the whole building, do you have motion detectors on some of the rooms so
Yes.
that
Yeah,
when a person comes and goes?
we do.
What about the hall itself?
The main hall, no. The main hall is not, that would be crazy. So many people coming in and out and not moving.
Blink, blink.
Yeah.
Yes and no,
But we
yeah.
turn the lights out, all but one row, when we're not using it. when
Right,
nobody's in
right.
there. And the conference room, we keep off. And the other small function room, we keep off when no one's in there. The offices, of course, we have to stay on.
Right.
My office is on motion detector, Wendy's office is motion detected, and I think Fran's is.
Do you know, what kind of bulbs are you using? Is there an opportunity to maybe do some LEDs
Are you
or something?
fluorescents?
We do.
LEDs or
We,
the old style?
the old style, the school has to come over with a lift and the tubes.
Just one thing to think about if you could
If
go.
you go to
Sure.
LEDs, they're longer life.
We also have hanging, I'm not going to call them a chandelier because that puts in your mind that they're going to have all sparkles on them, but a drop light in the main hall, and they're ambient. They've got a nice warm tone to them, but those are off most of the time. It's just the center row of these that are on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's 2 on either side as well. That the other rooms are all these.
Yeah, any of your fixtures like these that are recessed, have your maintenance person check, rather than buying fluorescents again, have them make sure that they're LED compatible, and just start replacing them with LED bulbs.
We haven't purchased.
They give a different
Yeah.
light,
Yeah,
they're a little brighter,
brighter blue, yeah.
but they last, I manage a lot of property, they last twice as long.
Good to know. I know we have
And they
quite
use
a,
less electricity.
yeah, we do have a supply of the older ones
Mhm.
that we're using.
Yeah, you gotta use them up,
Once those are gone,
unfortunately.
I'll definitely
Yeah.
consider that.
Because nobody wants them back.
No.
They don't. They just throw them away.
Right.
Any other questions for Marilyn?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Well, thank you, and we love what we do over there.
Yeah.
If you know anybody that would like to be an outreach assistant, the job description's on the town website.
What are the hours for that? Is that like during the day?
Yes, that's a shorter day. That job will be 9 to 2.
9 to 10.
And that is because, let me get this right, okay. Okay, this is 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's a little more than that. They need to be there first thing to coordinate the Meals on Wheels. That's the first thing that's happening in the mornings there for that
Mhm.
job. Then from then on, they can take, they'll be the assistant to the outreach coordinator, so that means that if they need to do applications for SNAP or fuel assistance, that type of thing, that this is the person that would do that. Also, they would be my assistant for the tax work-off program when that time comes, and keeping the hours,
Yeah.
type of thing.
How
So,
many Meals on Wheels, Marilyn?
44 at this
44.
point. It ebbs and flows,
That's every day? No,
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
Love it.
On weekends like this, they sent us what they call emergency meals. So they would be delivering their regular meal tomorrow and an emergency meal.
So
They did that
They
today,
come
actually.
from somewhere that we don't make it, right?
No.
And then it comes to the senior center. and
They
you
bring it
dis-
to us in coolers,
And you
and-
distribute it.
and then we have to go through it, take temperatures
Yep.
for the food safety and all that, and then they take it out and deliver it.
Do you have enough drivers? Delivery? Personnel?
We do right now, but we always could use people on call, because if suddenly
Somebody
someone's
calls us.
ill and can't do it, we would need somebody to drive.
And is that all volunteers?
We have one, he's been here for 15 years, God love him. We had one that Mary started to pay, and of course, once that happens, can't
Yeah.
take it away. He's cute, his name is Pedro. And his wife drives for him, she's a volunteer.
Yeah.
But they do 3 days a week, and then we have Jane Hatch and Art. Who's a
Cabral.
driver for us, Cabral,
Is
yeah.
that
Yeah,
a
it's a close
federal
friend of mine.
program?
Pardon me?
Is that a federal program, Meals on Wheels? or
State.
State,
This is at the state level.
and people pay for
Old
it?
Colony Elder Services pretty much runs it, and then we are the coordinators of our people.
And people pay for the meals, right?
Only donation. Only
Only
by donation,
donation,
yeah.
so-
There's no set charge. Same with ours. We can set a donation amount, a suggested donation, $5 for a meal at the COA. And some people give 6, some people toss us 10, and some people
Yeah,
can
yeah.
only afford 3, so,
Yeah.
even so.
Thank you very much.
Anytime any of you want to
Hey,
come over
Merle.
and have lunch, just give me a call, and we can make room for you. Lunch is
Mo and I,
served.
might take 9 months, 10 months, a year, but Mo and I are gonna come over for a pickleball game sometime soon.
Once we get our courts, right? There you go. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And stay warm this
You
week.
too.
Thank you too. Good luck with that
Really
part.
cold. Water department, I think, if they're not here, did you
Go
do
through
some
your
of
stuff.
this? Yeah.
the water department next?
I don't hear water.
Which one you want to start with? Sorry, what number?
1350.
1350?
So
Sorry. You just-
I hear voices.
I'll be coming.
Yep.
I got it.
the town count budget's up 1.76%. Really, the only real changes in it is a 2% COLA increases, at least at this point, for both the lead person and for the assistant.
All right.
Next budget is town council, we just level funded that at $87,000, no changes. Veterans,
Bless you.
good bless you.
Thank you.
Veterans is only up $400, it's 0.6%, small budget. Again, the only change in it really is just the COLA increase. Next budget is 1560, which is cable TV committee, level funded at $1,100. Next budget is the planning board, a little up about 1.5%, again, just driven really by the 2% COLA increase for the secretary. The next budget is Board of Appeals. It's up $100 year over year, really just because of the COLA increase for the part-time secretary. Same thing for the Rent Control Board. It's up $84 in total, just based on the 2% COLA. Next budget is ADA compliance. That's up $3,500. The difference is that we've never had a ADA coordinator, which is a requirement of law. We're supposed to have so what we did was that we did a survey. The stipend for it has been historically sort of about $3,000. So we hired someone to do the ADA coordinator position. And then we have some new members on the ADA committee, and they're really passionate about what they want to do. They want to start going to some meetings and do some training. So they're looking for a $650 increase to do some meetings. And I don't know, as somebody that volunteers and wants to go to meetings and learn more about what they do, I think for professional development, if we have the money, we should do it. And the last one is the Municipal Building Needs Committee is level funded at $1,486.
What's rent control do, David?
For the 2 mobile home parks.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Any other questions on any of those budgets?
It's pretty straightforward.
Nope.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi. Should we do the library?
Sure.
It's there. This library.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Just find your budget.
Sure.
All right.
Take your time.
Couple pages, there we go. So we're on 6,100 is the library budget. Would you like,
Is that Marilyn leaving?
it's very loud, isn't it?
As you can see, we need a new
Would you
COA.
like to talk to us about the changes in your budget from last year?
Sure. There's for 5111, there's a 2% cost of living increase. The next one, 5112, clerical salaries, it is a 2% cost of living increase. It looks a lot higher because over the summer we hired former director Ellen Snowbus to do a wage salary. So our clerical staff got salary increases in September. So the percentage that's on here is based off of what was approved for last fiscal year. But it is a 2% increase based on what they're making right now.
So I'm confused. You rehired Ellen?
No, we hired Ellen to do a wage study
Okay.
to look at different similar towns, similar libraries in towns with similar tax brackets to see what their wages were, because our staff was really being paid really low. So when we did the wage study, they ended up all getting raises, and that went in place in September.
So are they more
Is
in
that-
line with other towns now?
Yes, they are.
Was that, we budget that though, like last year, did we, how do you, when they get a raise like that that was unexpected, where does the funds come from?
Yeah, so we did an end-of-year transfer at that point. The Board of Library Trustees approved it, and the Board of Selectmen approved it, but I received an email, and we looked at the numbers, and they not only were they underpaid, they really just don't make that much money.
Yeah.
And we had some people that not only are high in quality,
Yeah.
but they've been there a long time.
Yeah.
And when I say not making a lot of money, like there was a lot of them over there making $17 an hour. They've been there for 10 years. And we didn't want to see them leave. And it wasn't that they were threatening. It was just the fact that we have to do the right thing.
It's non-union, right?
They are a non-union shop at this point. So Melanie's entirely correct. We hired Ellen. She did a market analysis. And then the library trustees and the selectmen got together and agreed that we should do a one-time market adjustment, which is what we did. And it sounds like a lot of money, but when you talk about 20% on $18, it's $3.60, right? It's not a lot of money. And so because it was a mid-year adjustment,
Yep.
it looks like a larger increase year over year, but it really isn't.
Okay.
Right, so I calculated just 2% cost of living on top of the increase that they didn't receive in September.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next one, 2118, is the assistant director. That's also a 2% cost of living increase.
Could I ask why one is 1% and the other's 2%?
I think that what you're looking at for mine, it says, does it say 1?
Yes.
It's technically 1.99, and that's
Oh,
just the
that's
way,
my-
yeah.
That's my eyeballs.
That's your eye. And that was just a technicality. I think that we were approved for $10 more than what my contracted salary
I
is.
just was curious why.
Yeah,
one
that's
was 1.
understandable.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem. The next one down is 5140, which is longevity. One of our employees got a promotion to a different position where she is working 3 more hours per week, so her longevity increased a little bit there. 5210 is heat. So our heating bills, our gas bills have been a lot higher this year than they have been last year. So I looked at what we spent last year, which was lower than what we were approved for, and did the math that way just to have like a small increase for.
I would have
Our
thought your
heating.
increase would be more, but you
Yeah.
had a little bit more in your budget than you were actually using. so it
Exactly,
helped you out.
yes. So it's
Okay.
not too bad.
Okay.
5211 is electricity. We spent a little bit more last year than we were approved, so I calculated 5% based on what we spent,
Mhm.
which was $732 more than we were approved for last year.
Do you think that will be enough with the increases in the fuel this year?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I asked Linda Torres, and
Yeah.
she spoke with David, and that was kind of the number that she gave me.
Okay.
So I went off of that
On the
number.
electricity one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a 10-year agreement with Constellation, and it was locked in at 9.65 cents per kilowatt, which was pretty inexpensive. National Grid went to 33.5 cents. So we shopped around, we went out to bid, the best we could do was in the 15s. And so after some arm wrangling, what we did was we had the town jump on the municipal aggregation program, which is 11 cents. So we think the 5% is going to be about right.
It's a bargain.
It is, it's a good thing we did it. Anybody who hasn't done it, jump on it.
So is that the thing that's been in place for a while now?
Yes.
And so if you don't have to re-up that every year, right? It just stays.
You had to
As a
opt out,
resident.
didn't you?
So you had to opt out if you didn't want to be in it.
Yeah.
It stays the same, it's why we did it. It was stable, and it is through November 2024. So it was a 3-year contract. And we'll go out to bid again at that point.
But I mean, as a resident, if you're in it, you're in it, right? Whatever the town negotiates, it just goes to that,
Correct, unless you choose to opt out.
unless you opt out. Okay. Thank you.
Most of the other ones, there's a $0 increase.
Mm-hmm.
The next one that you'll see with an increase is 5510, which is books and periodicals. This number is a lot higher because the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners requires that we spend a certain percentage of our budget on books and materials for the library. And because the clerical salaries have gone up, that percentage is a lot higher this year to reflect that.
You're not buying as many periodicals either, are
No,
you?
we're not.
As we
Less
used to.
periodicals.
Yeah, newspapers.
Yeah.
So what do you use the extra funds on? What types of?
We're looking to kind of expand what we offer as far as our collections go. We're thinking about adding video games, rentable video games to our collections. We also have a library of things that's mostly funded by donations, but like, for example, we have a pressure washer that goes out all the time in the summer. Things like that, if we find that something that could be really usable, something that a person wouldn't own because they're not going to use it all the time,
Mhm.
but would be beneficial to them, it would be something like that that we would add to the collection. We also have a few neat things, like telescopes and a karaoke machine, that sort of thing.
Doesn't have to be books then, that's.
Right, it doesn't have to be books, it has to be things that can be checked out, or there's a certain, 10% can be part of technology, but it has to be technology that the public uses. So part of that can also be, we have a 3D printer, so we can buy materials for the 3D printer with that as well.
I've been using the Libby to take books on my Kindle. It's
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
I'm so
great. It's
glad.
very easy to use.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, a quick tutorial, and I've been using it ever since.
And you don't have to worry about being overdue, it just takes it back for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Would be,
Yeah.
And that's everything we have as far as increases for this year.
Great. How's it been going with the kids in the library? I think there was a little dust up of a little bit of
It's been
commotion
better.
around that.
Yeah. You know, when they come back from vacation or when it's particularly cold, there's more kids, we have to remind them, basically. They get carried away, but we haven't had anyone causing trouble and being mean in that regard. It's
That's
just
good.
kids being kids, and we have to remind them they can't be yelling and running around. And sometimes we ask them to leave and come back tomorrow,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And it's been working out really well.
Good, good, good. Everything else in terms of, capital budget items or anything like that?
No, we don't have anything that's come to my attention that we'll
Good,
need.
yeah. Okay,
So
great.
fingers crossed that stays that way for a
yeah,
while.
you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions on the budget?
No.
No, I'm good.
Thank you so
All
much
right,
for
thank
coming in.
you.
Thanks for everything you do.
Okay.
Stephen, I thought he was the water department.
Oh,
I'm not getting any answer. Do you get an answer? Water department?
I just heard from Wayne,
Yeah.
he said that I'm checking on him now.
He's on his way, I think, right? I think, what do we have
So
left? The
you
assessors.
mentioned
Assessor
rent
and
control
water
board,
department.
but I thought they were owned down.
Well, I mean, he's on the-
Those trailers.
They own the trailer, but not the
No.
property.
There he is.
Is that what they manage?
Something like that, yeah.
Hello.
Howdy. Greetings,
There's a
everybody.
lot going on in this budget.
Is there?
Oh my God, there's a lot going on in this budget.
What do you want to hear about?
sit down, get comfortable.
Yeah.
I got all night.
See quite a bit of fluctuation here.
You can, but I probably use some different numbers. When the numbers I don't have, I picked a different number where it says estimated, so that would skew some numbers. After that, I'm not sure what you're looking at. So do we want to start at the
We're not
top?
sure what we're looking at.
I think we
either.
should start at the
Start
top.
at the top.
All right, 5109, that's by contract.
Okay.
5110, that's by contract. 5111, that's by contract. 5112,
So,
It's
can
by-
I stop
yep,
you
go
for
ahead.
1 second? So 5111 is 4%,
yes.
where the other is 2.
Two.
Is there a reason for the?
Yeah, that's me. So I'm not just a superintendent, I'm almost a project manager, I'm a working superintendent, so I'm asking for 4.
Okay.
And we're gonna be bringing, we have 2 big projects moving through amongst all the other projects that I have.
Okay.
But you say it's contractual. Is
Yes.
it really contractual, or you asking?
They haven't met yet, that's what I'm gonna ask, they haven't signed, I can't see them disagreeing.
Okay.
They can, that's their,
Well, I'm just saying, usually when I hear
Right,
contractual,
we-
there's already a
they
standard, so I was
haven't,
just
because
curious.
it's so early,
Yep.
they haven't met yet. But they've already seen the number.
So this has been through your board already, Wayne,
They haven't actually seen it, they've seen it, but they haven't voted on it
on any
to
of it?
accept it. Correct.
All right, gotcha.
Okay. And then the clerical salaries?
All right, so that's a step raise and a COLA raise, so that's why it looks like it's gigantic.
It
But
is.
this is her second year, so there's steps involved for, I forget how many steps they have, but
Okay,
for the next few years.
okay.
So it'll always look big. Ready to move on?
Mhm.
All right, 5113, that's by contract. Questions, concerns? No? All right. 5118, so there's your sheet probably says 759 something, and that's a typo on my part.
Oh, on the request?
Yes,
What are you requesting?
75090.
And what percentage? is
That would be
that?
3%. After that, do you want to hear every line, or?
No,
No.
just the ones that change.
All right, so then, when we get down to 5140, that's the longevity, that's by contract, it's just that we have senior employees. Then the next few, those are estimated, and that's where I spoke up and told you that the number I used was the previous, well, it's basically 2 years back. I added 5%, but, you know, it's not, I should have just grabbed what I approved for last year and moved it over.
Yeah.
And then it'll probably go up, or I'll just add 5% next year, I'll do that way.
What are allowances and stipends, Wayne? What falls on?
So we hold a lot of licenses, so we hold water licenses, there's hydraulics engineering licenses for hoisting.
Yep.
The only one that holds a CDLA now is me, and I don't get a stipend for that. There's boots and clothing,
So why is that going down so much?
so I don't have any people.
Can you elaborate?
It's
on that?
budgeted, it's budgeted for people, but I don't have any long-term people, so it's budgeted that I hope to have people with licenses, and we're trying to attract, we have somebody, a candidate that we're trying to hire, and he holds all the licenses, so, but he,
So
Getting them.
Is the thought that you would hire them this
there are
year?
I have 3 openings, yes, I'm hoping to hire him, I would love to get him in tomorrow, but
Right.
it just takes time.
But what I would probably suggest is you're probably gonna wanna budget it, cause if they come, you're gonna.
I did budget
Okay.
it for him to, but if nobody's, the licensing is very hard now. You really need a college degree to get to the higher levels.
Okay.
So I don't expect anybody's gonna do it. We're okay, as long as I'm here, I have the highest licenses going, so.
They work under yours?
So right now, we're working under mine, and we actually don't meet with the mandatory Mass DEP staffing requirements. So I was gonna ask
Can you
Rick
turn
later
the-
on, not
turn the
here,
TV
if
off?
he still has his licenses.
So you steal them from other towns? Is that kind of how? it
We
goes?
can't poach, we don't pay enough, and our benefits aren't good enough.
So where would you get them?
Well, they're poaching us.
You're stealing our people. you know.
It's,
No, but you
That's
you
why
get
we're
a
working
guy,
on it.
you
We don't
need-
have any help left because they're leaving to go to other towns and making more
It's-
money.
Oh, it's everything.
right, we're working on it, yep, it's hard, and like I said, it's very hard to get I can't just hire anybody because there's high levels of math involved with taking the test, and it requires somebody to go home and read a book that will put you to sleep instantly, so it's not easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Pay buyback is nothing. Heating and fuels basically stayed the same. We've had a mild winter. I'm hoping next year we have a mild winter, but we can't tell.
Yeah, is that realistic to leave that flat? With the increases
Because
in,
everyone's going up.
yeah,
like-
electric.
I know, and I've watched what we've used. It's, right now, I've spent 7,000, but we had a really mild winter.
Mm-hmm.
And if it come to it,
Till tomorrow.
yeah, I know, there's 2 days, and I have warnings up to try to alert people for their pipes and stuff.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I think it's realistic. I think I can make it work, even if we have extreme cold.
Okay.
The electricity, I did go up 5%.
Okay.
And then the next movement is all the way down at hydrant repairs.
You have to pay
So
for
it-
your own water?
Huh?
You have to pay for your own
All
water?
right, so that's not, so the water is, so we have residents in Easton. It's our pipe, but it's Easton's water in the pipe. So we have to pay Easton for the water,
Oh, I
so.
remember.
Yeah, I
you s-
remember.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that. I remember.
So what's going on with the hydrant repairs?
All right, so a hydrant actually cost me around $2,000 to $2,200 for the hydrant and the parts associated with it and the materials. So I moved it up to budget for 2 hydrants. Next year, you'll see it for 4 hydrants. To keep increasing till I get to a level that I know that we can replace that amount of hydrants in a year. It's not that anything's bad out there, but we have hydrants that date back to another century, so we try to stay on top of them. There are 500 plus in the system, and we're on top of it.
So can I ask you why I called a couple weeks ago, but nobody's called me back? Why there's an orange bag on the one in front of my house?
That means it's out of service, so the fire department doesn't hook up to it and try to use it.
So how do you get it back in service?
We have to replace it. If it's bagged, it needs to be replaced.
And so when will that happen?
In the spring, it's a little cold out
That's
there
not
now.
about the finance committee.
Well,
Where
I'm
are you
sure
at?
other people in town have the same issue, and
Yeah, where are you at?
East Street.
East Street. Oh, you're down near the tracks. Is that it? No?
Yeah,
No, I'm right down, almost near the
on the track
106.
end though.
On the other end. All right, I'll make sure it's on the board.
The 106 on,
Yep.
it's down there.
We do have a list. I
It's
don't
been for
know
a
it.
while, and months and months, and I finally called, and nobody called me back, so I was just curious what it meant.
And that's what it means. It means that we don't want the fire department to hook up to it.
Okay, and it's going to be replaced.
It will be replaced.
How does she get a phone call back?
I can't answer for that.
From all
'cause I
the
don't-
clerical stuff.
Well, we don't have, we have one full-time who's had some health issues, and then I have a part-time girl who, she's really good, but she's just there because she didn't want to sit at home bored.
Yeah.
So she doesn't really
I mean,
want
they took the
overtime.
message, they just didn't call me,
They should have called you back. I apologize for that, and I'll make sure that, Janice Fox, I'll make sure that somebody gets back to you somehow, even if I have to track it down myself.
Actually, you don't have to call me back, just replace my hydrant.
No, but they should have called you back.
Thank you. Okay, network tech consultants?
All right, I don't control that. That's the IT department, and he has 3 lines in here that went up.
Okay.
So that's Ed.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one I see is the laboratory services.
Yep.
All right, so the lab that we were using for one of our tests went out of business, but I actually, in this folder, I had to take out, as the cost just kept increasing this year, I actually had to calculate how many labs and look forward through next year and see how many tests we were doing and then put prices to them to calculate this. And the 12.19% is what I came up with, a little extra in it just in case, because everything still keeps increasing.
So so the lab closed? Have we
Yes, so I just have to
contracted with-
switch to another lab, and
Okay.
it's gonna cost me more money there also.
And you're just estimating how much that's going to be?
That one, yes, but I did calculate out all of my tests, and against the current lab that I was using, they didn't notify me until after this budget was already out that they were leaving the business.
Okay. Borrowing costs.
I don't control that, that's out of Scott, and that might be when we take out loans for big projects, we don't actually take out the loan until the project is finished. So in the meantime, that might be what goes into that line. I know because it happened to me when I took over and I got hit with a note for painting of the tanks that I had no idea was coming.
Okay. And the next two look like they might be,
Network equipment is Ed. And then backflow testing, so we barely covered what I actually paid in 2022. So I rose it up to that number. And we'll see how we do this year.
okay. So you're adding 5% to last year's actual?
Is that what you're saying?
In a way, but I matched the 2022 number. If you look all the way over to the left.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it did come out to 5.39%.
Okay.
The cost of gasoline is up. We all know that one.
Yeah, so why is the mileage staying, why is that going to 0? Am I missing something there?
Where are you looking?
Mileage.
Mileage.
So mileage is when,
It was approved for 500,
Someone uses
and now
their
you're
own car.
asking for nothing? Is that, do I have that right?
department request is 500. I have 500.
That when you use your own vehicle.
That's when we have to use our own vehicle and travel.
Okay.
It's flat.
Okay, sorry, I think I had my columns on.
Yeah, if you're
Okay.
off of, yeah.
Okay. Gasoline, you have 5% up?
Yes, well, we all know it went up.
Yeah. Okay.
Up and down, up and down.
And by tools and supplies, all of those parts have increased in prices. That's another 5%.
I mean, is that realistic, just 5%? Is that really what things are rising?
It's, some things rise, some things don't, some things skyrocket. We'll get to a line where I'll explain something a little more, but that's realistic. The tools and supplies, pipes and fittings, I can make that work.
Okay.
Do you have a lot of inventory over there?
I have to have inventory.
You can have some, but you can have no.
Right. I mean, the parts for out in the street, I have a lot of inventory. Other ones, some parts are unique and I have them. Other parts are stocked on the shelves. But in the plants where there's pipes and plastics, we have fittings, yes.
Okay.
All right, 5537, my water purification chemicals, that has skyrocketed.
Yeah. it looks
And once
like it.
again, I actually had to calculate how many loads. We have potassium hydroxide doubled in price in the current year. And I can't control that. We do bid through surge. And I had to go out once because the supplier couldn't supply me in time. And it cost me even more. So it's not, we do get a good rate out of surge. It's just their costs have all increased astronomically.
Are they imported, any chemicals imported?
I believe that one is.
So
Potassium
they-
hydroxide is, most of it comes from the Soviet Union.
There you go. Yeah. That's just that one.
So that's just price increase though, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
nothing.
once again, I did calculate, I looked at all of how many loads I took last year, and we had a busy year, so that I would match and make sure I had enough, because that's a huge line to me.
Sure.
Mhm. And the insurance looks like you don't have a number on that yet?
Water.
The ones that say estimated, I'll, once I have those numbers, I get them usually mid to late March, sometimes early April, then I'll backfill them in for.
Right, they come late.
Okay. Water facilities insurance, that's similar.
That's once again estimated.
Liability, okay. Your training is decreasing?
So I'm budgeting that I might train somebody, but I took into account, how many classes they can actually take in a physical year. When I train a new employee that doesn't have any licenses, I lose them for 2 years just to the water licenses in training. So it's,
Does that mean you lose them for 2
They-
years?
whether it's a one-day class that runs for 12 to 16 weeks, or it's a multi-day class that they can't, I have to let them go so that they can become trained. They can't do anything physically in any of our plants until they hold a treatment license. When we're out in the street in the distribution, we're there anyway, so they work under our licenses.
And then the guys also, anybody that has a license, they have to put in so many hours of schooling every year
To
to
keep it.
maintain their license, so we are, they're always taking advantage of classes that come up.
I've grabbed every free Zoom class we could, so I know that we're all set for that.
Okay. And then you have like principal and interest.
Yeah, those those are new lines, and that's and to be determined. It's not the tank painting.
New tower.
So we have a couple of projects coming, so we're piloting at Manley Street short term, that one's paid for, but we're piloting on CS Street. So those principal and interest are to be determined, and once again, until the full loan is out, it's hard to tell, so he gave me budget numbers to put in.
Piloting what?
We're piloting for a new treatment plant.
Okay. So those are estimates as well?
Yeah, because once again, until we find the final number, once we get through piloting, and then we have to start paying on the note, then it'll come due and he'll have fixed numbers. He'll go out for a loan and fix it.
Okay.
Yep.
I know you had the 2 hydrants to be replaced. Is there a long-term plan, 5-year plan that, I know you said 2, then 4?
We do about 10 a year.
Okay.
So if I find extra money that I haven't spent a line, I'll buy more hydrants. But yeah, we do about 10 a year, depending upon how many people I have. I mean, I've done one with just myself and Rick before, so it's...
So you do 10 a year, but how many do we need to do per year?
That stays about on top of it. I can't tell. There are, like I said, there are 500. We replaced in the past 10 years, we've probably replaced almost 100.
And how many do we have again?
500 plus. There's probably just under 525 in town.
Hydrants usually, you open them and you can put out a fire. The problem is you can't shut them off.
The valves.
Yeah, well, if they're old, they're gonna turn on. The problem is you may not get them off. They'll shut down, but they'll still keep leaking.
Yeah.
So, it's more of that problem than.
Right.
Is there the same type of maintenance program on like water mains, pipes under the road type stuff?
So it costs a lot of money to replace the mains under the ground. There is, unless the government comes out and wants to start shoveling more money to us, there's probably not gonna happen. We have duplicate mains and triplicate mains in town now that I just need manpower to begin jumping off of some old mains. And at this point now, they're older mains, but there is no plan.
But do we have, just from just trying to figure out like future costs, right, and
Business
expenses?
Right, so we use a sequestering agent that locks up most of the minerals. We've opened up 1,900 water mains, and they're as clean as brand new pipes. So we do maintenance on them as they're working.
So it doesn't matter that it's an 80-year-old pipe, right? Unless
Yeah, we don't
there's
have
an
any,
issue, there's
yeah,
no
we don't,
issue.
it's called tuberculation when it closes, plugs up. We don't really have that in town at all.
Okay.
We stay on top of it, and our flushing program is really good.
Yeah, I guess my question, really where I'm going is there a $2 million bill building up to replace 100-year-old pipe that we should start planning for now?
It's like 50 million, but.
No, I mean pipes in town, just,
Yeah.
is that gonna be federal money, you think that's gonna?
You'd want federal money when you have to dig in the street, because
That's
if
what I
you have
mean.
to go out, if you're gonna replace an entire street, then you're paying prevailing rate wage,
Yeah,
and it might be almost $1 million a mile to do
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it gets really expensive. That's why you don't see it happen very often unless it's tied to some big project or it has to be bonded out. It's very expensive.
So can I ask
Yep.
about the budgeted money you have for salaries and whatnot up here, and
Yep.
you're saying you can't get help and that we're not paying enough, and why are we not dealing with that in this budget?
We're trying to deal with it now. It comes down to unions and contracts, and we're at the end of a contract, so we're trying to work with it now to
Okay.
fix it.
So these numbers are likely gonna change then, once you
They
figure
won't
out-
change in this budget year because they're gonna be fixed going through. So next year, you might see an increase in them.
Okay. Because I think we, and I'm not on the board or whatever, but like, don't we need to deal with that? If we don't have help, we have to have water,
We are
right?
currently trying to deal with it. It wasn't, I mean, we lost 2 employees in a year to other towns.
Mhm.
It happens.
Yeah,
So we are working with the town, trying to deal with it and change the contracts so that it doesn't happen anymore.
Mhm.
And it maybe will attract people. I don't think that'll ever happen, but we just want to stop the drain. Because
Well, it sounds like you have to hire, because you're already losing people, right?
Right.
And that's why I'm concerned about the budget. Do you have enough money in here to hire the people that you need?
I do have enough money in there if I hire them and to train them. Like I said, we have somebody who holds all, cost me $11,000 to train somebody through, all the way through. We have somebody we're trying to get in here, and he wants to come, and I think we're really close. We're this close. And it won't cost me a dime in training, it just costs me his salary, and we're already budgeted for that, so
Okay.
I just need it to happen.
You gotta get them through the union contract.
Right, and
And the benefits, that's another problem through the union. When you come here and you work for your first year, you don't get a vacation. So if you've been in the water business and you've been there for 10 years in another town and you switch over, and you're used to 3 weeks vacation, and you would tell you, okay, well, you're gonna start at a lower rate of pay, plus you're not gonna get a vacation for the first year.
Yeah, right.
And because we got a contract that's written that way, which means you're not competitive out there to take somebody from another town, because you just haven't got.
So how do they do it? How do they?
well, they're worded differently. We're working on it, we are working
So,
on it.
yeah,
It's
you can
it's
word
coming
it.
to it's spotlighted.
Yeah, because I feel like we've been hearing that for the last couple of years, that you're shorthanded, you can't find people, but,
It's
you know.
not, so you just, what we do is inject chemicals in precision amounts, and you can harm an entire town, and it has happened. That's why we have safety interlocks, but you can get around the safety interlocks if you hire the wrong people.
No, but I understand that, and that's why I want to make
Right.
sure that we have enough money in the budget to hire the people that you need to do it properly, right?
I hope there is.
They knew
No,
that.
there is.
They talked, when I was superintendent, I don't know, when I retired 6, 7, 8 years ago, they were talking about this Plymouth County Waterworks meetings. They said, you know, how many people here are getting ready to retire? And almost the whole room
Yeah.
raised their hand. They said, anybody, have you got somebody in mind that can take over your positions? And there was only a couple of hands that went up. And they said, there was licensed people to run, because when I came here in 1976, you didn't need a license, because we didn't add any chemicals. Now we add chemicals that you don't even want to be near them, because you got to put minute amounts in them. We're dealing with thousands of gallons of them stored, and we have to put them in day tanks so that you take them out of the bulk and put them into smaller tanks, so that you can't overrun and put too much into the system, because they're so dangerous.
Yeah.
So you just don't want anybody in there running these plants, and especially if they can't do math, because we're putting it in minute amounts, and you put in too much. And some towns have had that problem. You see it on the news every so often.
And any of it computerized, where you just?
It's all,
It is-
ours are all
I mean,
computerized, yeah.
That it dispenses?
But
from
you
my
can have a
computer?
pump go rogue on you. That's why
Yeah.
you have interlocks to catch it and shut it
When we
down.
handle the stuff, you have to stand there with your thumb on the button. If you have a heart attack and die, your thumb comes off the button and it stops. That's how dangerous they are. You can't turn the switch on and move the chemicals from the big tank to the little tank. You have to hold the button, and if something happens to you, it's not gonna keep running. When you let go of the button, it stops. So it tells you that stuff's dangerous.
Yeah.
But I guess back to Jen's point, you lost people due to salary, maybe in benefits. You're trying to hire at the same same salary and benefits. If that doesn't work,
We're working on it. It's like you have to wait for a contract to end, and then it's negotiations, and we're at that point right now.
I was gonna say,
So the town has heard, I'm fairly certain the town has heard it.
I've worked with some unions. They usually let you open the contract early if you want to pay them more and give them more
You can,
vacation.
yeah, you can, but,
If
and
you
then
need
others
people.
want things out of it, so it's like having a special town meeting. You get people jumping, you don't like to have them because people jump in with stuff.
Yeah.
It's being worked on. It's in the limelight right now.
Okay.
Good.
Let's talk about this truck.
So I'm gonna budget to replace, and you're gonna see it in the capital meeting, our F700 is, I believe it's an 84, but don't hold me to it. Yeah, it's like an old tank. It'll run forever, but it's beginning to rust out. The throw bearings scream so loudly at you that you can't hear your self-thoughts.
We bought some vehicles, right?
We haven't, so we
Placement,
buy a
yeah.
new vehicle every 3 years, so that's
Didn't we just buy a
Not
van or
us.
something?
not us.
We got a new
Didn't we-
body for a truck.
Didn't we
I
There
bought
was
a
something
utility
about an
body, so
accident.
we had an accident, yes. So I gave up my new truck to the guys, and I took their old van, because
Uh-huh.
they're on the road more than I am, so I want them to be safe, and we switched the bed out to a utility body, yes.
I knew there was something there.
And that was a cost saving, so that we could continue on the 3-year plan of replacing vehicles, because they,
Okay.
once they get older.
So this is a truck for?
It's a big dump truck,
a
it's
big
not,
dump truck.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna use it strictly in the water department, Wayne, or are you gonna?
I mean, if the
Are you gonna
if the
be asked to put a
DPW
plow
buys a
on it?
plow for it, we don't buy the plows, because we don't like the salt.
Mhm.
It's not good for a vehicle, but if they buy the plow and outfit it, then yeah, it goes out.
Okay.
And everything, I mean, if we have, bad, nor'easters, it's all hands on deck to help get the town back up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that takes more out of the trucks than.
The plowing?
Plowing?
plowing.
They've always said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, they've always said that plowing beats the hell out of a vehicle,
Oh,
It does.
especially the front end.
Oh,
You
yeah.
talk to anybody in town that plows as a single operator, the first thing they'll tell you is, I'm lucky if I get 4 years out of my truck because the front end's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Never mind the plow.
Yeah, that, and they usually bend in the center.
And what's a plow these days?
Plowing's brutal.
20 grand?
Right.
Yeah,
And we're not even talking your size. We're
Right.
talking
yeah.
pickup truck size.
Yep.
So, new well interest?
And so the well has been replaced. We've been waiting more than a year now for our variable frequency drives to complete the project. That's the only thing holding us out. And I can't run it until we tried to run it, we blew the transformers on the poles.
Say that again, what are you waiting for?
Variable frequency drives, because it has a lot of chips in it, so it's, it was supposed to come, every month we get it's supposed to come date, and it doesn't arrive. But as soon as we have it, that's it. Everything else, it's all tested, it's all certified, it's DEP approved, it's
What's
ready to go to
holding
the
that
street.
up? Like
The variable frequency drives.
No, I mean, but what's holding us up from getting
They probably
one?
don't have the parts.
Because it has a lot of chips in it.
Oh,
I know you must have heard about the
Yes,
chip
yes.
thing. I would have brought a bag of chips if it would have helped, but I hate that commercial. I forget the car guy who does that.
okay.
But
Got
yeah,
it.
so that'll finish that.
What they do is, when we start pumps, we used to start a pump and it ran against a closed head, right against a gate. Then the gate opens slowly so you don't create water hammer. Well, they changed all that. Now they have the variable speed controllers. So when you turn a pump on, the pump starts turning very slow, and then it ramps up to full speed. And then when you shut them off, they'll go the other way. They'll slow down, so you don't create water hammer.
It's all
But you don't have,
computer-driven.
it costs a lot of money to turn a pump on, pump at 300 gallons a minute and not have the water go anywhere and wait for so you're creating a lot of pressure and you're burning a lot of electricity. So these variable speed controllers save a lot of electricity. You don't get that big spike.
So we can dial them down for flow. They also vary the frequency, 60 hertz is the current, but it'll change the hertz ratio. It'll do a lot to save energy.
If we want to go from 300 gallons a minute to 200 gallons a minute, it's on the computer and you just change it. And you could, it's like that.
So the iron removal plant?
It's
is
done,
that-
that's
we
paid off.
paid it?
Yep, the commission, we've paid that one off.
Okay. Painting a tank?
So the commission hasn't been doing a job, but any extra free cash that we have, they've been throwing at the loans, trying to pay them down, because
Okay.
we accrued a few loans, so they've been
Yeah.
doing a good job of paying them down. And we've paid off a few. We paid off the meter ones, it's,
So that's kind of all that stuff there, right?
yep.
Okay. Any have any questions on any of this?
I had one other question,
Yep.
because somebody knew I was gonna be here. There's a container on your property, it says Blue Leaf Pilot
Yes,
Study.
so that's the pilot test.
Okay.
They're the piloting company. So inside of that, so what they did was they set up biological filters. So it had to be seasoned. They call it seasoning. So it came in fresh with fresh media in it. So it runs for about 2 months to season it, and then once it's seasoned, then they'll begin testing. So what they're testing for is to see how much manganese, in Station 1, where it's sitting right now, is high in manganese, but it also has high levels of iron. So they're trying to see what ratios of chemicals or what ratio of filter they need to filter out that. And then it's gonna move, it may stay in that place and they'll pipe Station 2 over to it, or they'll move that container over to Station 2. And once again, now the filters are seasoned, so they'll start up again, so it should only take a month when it's at the next station. But yeah, we're running to waste right now because they need it to see it 24/7 for, it's like 2 to 3 months.
People get a little freaked out when they're walking their
Yeah,
dogs by
we
there and
had
there's water
some
coming
people
out
kept
of
saying,
it.
you know, you're running water. Yes, we know we're running water.
People
They don't
are a
do it
little bit on edge
intentionally.
about town water, and then
Yeah,
they see that.
but it's,
like-
the good thing is it's going right back into the aquifer.
That's right.
So the overall increase is really not, relevant,
Nothing
because
went
too
up
many
drastically,
estimates, right?
no.
You yanked the chemicals out of there.
The chemical, the purification chemicals was my biggest line. Most of the others were all small 5%ers.
Okay.
And I can make it work. It was just I couldn't, the purification chemicals, I had to have that money.
Oh,
Of course.
okay.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you all came here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good
I'm
night.
afraid
You
I'm
too.
to what I'm drinking. That's some scary stuff. The listening to that is scary.
Assessors.
Come on up, assessors, last but not least. Sorry for the delay. There's a big water budget.
Water always takes a little longer.
I expected the library first, but.
Water was late, so library went first.
Oh, I see.
Nice and easy.
So how are things at the Board of Assessors these days?
It's wonderful, no matter what you hear.
All right.
We're getting everything on track, we're doing well.
Good.
Girl power, you know? We got it under control.
Okay.
Like you'll see with our budget,
Yeah. Good.
came in, we had some decreases,
Yep.
salary changes, so that helped. We only had, some contract things, clerical up for the contract for the union a little bit. The only big increase we had was just one for consulting services,
Mm-hmm.
so.
What do they do again, Paul?
For the consulting?
Yeah.
This is for some ATV cases. We need to get an outside appraiser. So it's something that we have to do. We can't get around it.
Okay. It's like in conservation, we hire 53G engineers to look at the project from the outside.
Yeah,
Yeah, same thing.
yeah, same type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way around it, unfortunately.
I've only been on here for 3 years, but that seems to go up every year. Is that accurate?
Which
on the
one, I'm sorry?
consulting piece?
Well, consulting, this one is a big jump. It's because we have to do it for the ATV.
Is it a
We kinda-
1-year jump? Like, well,
This should
Okay.
hopefully be just a one-year thing. We should be able to get it resolved and not be a continuous increase. It just kind of depends on the ATV cases that we have going.
So these usually big people like Lowe's and.
It would be a large case.
you know,
It could be a
people
large
think that
development,
they're
a big
being
box
over,
store.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's something large versus just, one person's residence.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
a
sure
large case,
Same people every year, right?
usually.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, the 45 grand is 1, 2, 3, like, how many? Just is, like, how many
For the,
properties would be?
it's all part of the ATV. We really can't give a whole lot of explanation in open.
Okay.
No, just the increase, the $10,000 increase.
Right,
would
but
be for
the
expert
total's
witness.
now 45, right?
Right.
For outside.
And hopefully next year it will go back down to 35.
Depends on how many cases would you say you,
Well, it
Yeah.
varies, like with some of the large developments that have come in,
yeah.
everybody always thinks they're being overassessed.
Right.
So you may have a large development, you have 50 houses, they think 45 of them are being overassessed.
Okay.
So there's really no set number. And most of the time, we can figure it out and we hash it all out in executive session with the developer. But sometimes we have to go to the ATV because we just can't reach
And what's that stand for again?
appellate tax board.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to avoid that when possible, but
I'm
we can't
sure.
always.
So this consultant services is to represent the town at that tax board,
This is
On
to do
those
the,
cases?
to do the appraisal.
the appraisals?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions on this budget?
For .08 at the end of the day, I think we've exhausted it.
Yep. That's it.
I might have started that, so sorry.
That's that number.
Well, thank you for coming.
No, thank
And
you
waiting.
guys.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Thank you.
Did we get through everything? I think we did, right?
We did.
Okay. Any other business? When's our next meeting?
You did the
Schedule.
account.
March, right?
March 2nd.
March 2nd? Schedule here. Okay. Next meeting is March 2nd.
Fabulous.
Should I make a motion to adjourn? Yeah, that would be nice.
I would second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Anyone ever say no?
Yeah.
No.